Hi guys, 14 Prime here with Custom Corral 3, which I decided to make Decepticon themed for some reason. Honestly, I think it's because I mainly wanted to talk about Gut Cruncher and Lockdown, and I was like, well, what about a third? And I figured Barricade, because I think I've mentioned Barricade a few times, like in the various Stockade videos I've done, but I've never actually given him his own spot, so this is his own spot. But anyways, since there are significant changes to 2 out of 3 of these in their alt mode, I figured that I would have this one be alt mode and then robot mode. But we're going to kind of breeze through it because the changes are mainly just stickers and upgrades. But we'll start with Lockdown, which of course this is the recent Star Raider Lockdown, which sucks. Like it's just not all that great to me. But I really did like the colors enough, and I liked Lockdown enough. And the toy hack set was really good, so why not? And so we have just the standard car, but there are some smokestacks and some little spikes here from one upgrade kits that a friend of mine had given me the remnants of, and these were the little bits I wanted from it. And of course I have applied the toy hack stickers to them, which the goal here was to make it look as close to like a Bayverse Legacy toy as possible. That was my main goal, and I think this worked out pretty well. Which also a little fun fact about the smokestacks. I tried it out of curiosity since I may be replacing them, but if you feel like repainting your smokestacks, I do think making them shorter helps the alt mode. Let me just take this off. I just think that even just that looks better to me. I think the long ones, it's just harder to have something for them to do, so they just kind of get in the way, but I feel like shorter smokestacks really work for Lockdown. So if that's something you feel inclined enough to do for your own, the idea is there. It works. I think they still look pretty decent, which I may or may not use this idea for a future custom. We'll see. And then down here is Barricade. We've seen them a few times. It's mainly just toy hack stickers, some of those covers from, I think it was it Non-F or was it Lazy Eyebrow? I think it might have been Lazy Eyebrow, because he did those, and he did like new lights up in the front, which I didn't apply to Barricade because I just felt like I kind of liked the beefier look for his front. But he actually says to punish and enslave, because Barricade can't say that anymore. And he's got some silver back there. And then finally, Gut Cruncher himself, or Spike Cruncher, whichever one you feel like calling him. I will probably call him both throughout this short video. But as we can see, it is the GoBots Treads tank. I feel like I'm getting it. It's the green one, the green Warpath. All right, but with some very slight differences. We have the nice orangey tank barrel here, a little bit of gunmetal there, and a nice silver Decepticon symbol right on the side, and that's it. That's all the difference here. That's all we got. But for paints to use, Lockdown uses nothing. He is all stickers and upgrades, but I think they do enough to warrant his inclusion in this. But then as for Barricade, we have some gray surface primer and some TS79 semi-gloss black. Little focus, thank you. As well as some hand paint semi-gloss black, some purple, and then a little bit of chrome silver for those exhaust pipes that have honestly chipped pretty bad. Like I honestly think about just taking that paint off, but I haven't done it yet. And I don't remember because it's been years, but I think I repainted the eyes red, so I'm just gonna show some off just in case. And then finally for Gut Cruncher, there is some white surface primer, as well as some T16 yellow, so focus, thank you, and some T34 camel yellow, if it will focus, thank you, as well as some semi-gloss black, once again, thank you, some gunmetal, and dark gray. But that is pretty much it for their vehicle modes, and then the paints, which I know I did that in a slightly weird order, but I feel like this makes more sense because there's just nothing too much to talk about with the vehicle modes, so figured I'd mention them, then show the paints, and now we're going to go ahead and get to all of their robot modes. And here in their robot modes, they are, for some reason, arranged from tallest to shortest. I did not intend this when I put them all in the order of their vehicle modes. This just kind of worked out. But we'll go ahead and get started with Lockdown, since I don't think there's... Oh no, there's at least amount to talk about. For one thing, the toy hacks, of course, helping out with the legs here. I love the bits of layering it has for both the thighs and the torso. And I like little bits of detail on the shoulders. Of course, there were more stickers than this, but I usually don't like to use a full sheet of toy hack stickers. I find it details them a little bit too much. But I think for a movie-verse legacy toy, they're going to have a little bit more detail, so I kind of excused it here. It also just looks really cool. Lockdown would have all this stuff, alright? He's extra, that's what he does. But of course, the obvious mod here is the hook, which this is actually a third-party piece. Not third-party, this is an upgrade piece, you know, like one of the trillions of upgrades you find on eBay or TF Safari. Which this was a journey. I think I posted about nearly every step of the way on Twitter, but I did sort of lie. I did paint one thing, and I forgot I did it, but I painted the hook. And the reason why I forgot is because clearly this has already been outdone. But how it slots in is I did not change this at all. I still have his fist, and if I really wanted to, I could just pop the fist back in and use, like, this mod is 100% reversible. Like, I can just pop it back in, nothing's wrong. But what I did is I took the 5mm port that's on the hook itself, and I sanded, you always see better than single. I sanded the top and the bottom, not the sides, just the top and the bottom, to where it has enough clearance to nicely go over this. Not with a ton of strain, because you don't want it to be super hard or it might break, or you might stress out the socket too much. But it's just enough to where this works. Which even that, like, I can kind of just show you how it looks just doing that with that and toy hacks. I can't take the toy hacks off for this. But even just doing that, I think, helps him a lot because it gives him his hook hand. But I can't rotate in here. All you can really do is you can flip it the other way. You can have it backwards if you want. It is also still 5mm compatible since we did not touch the sides. It's gonna be a little bit looser, but nothing. It's nothing really all that bad. Like, you can still see it's still a little bit of a struggle just to pop it out, but it still totally works as a 5mm hook even with this modification. And then this went to the second hook I did this to, which this was actually part of that kit that gives him a whole new back of the car, and this is connected to that. My friend broke that whenever he sent me the kit, which I didn't really care because I wanted this hook. But for funsies, I tried to do the mod on this, and it works the same way. I just had to sand down the tops and bottoms. And there you go. But the main hook I've been using is this one. I like it. It's big, it's locked down, it just makes total sense in my brain. But yeah, let's go ahead and get him his extenders here, which is literally just taking the already existing pieces, plugging, I'll go ahead, I'll show it. Take this off, you take the peg here, plug it in there, and then you take the peg here, plug it in here, which I don't know how intentional this was by the design team. I do really feel like they could have done something where they made this more intentional. Maybe like make it to where like the guns look less gun-y at the end, or maybe make it to where there's a bit more of like room for a joint, because the actual knee can only bend that much there. So you sort of lose some articulation, but I mean, when you combine everything else, you still have a thigh swivel, then you have a swivel down here, your ankle and all is completely unaffected, your hip is totally unaffected, so it's not like bad. It's just, you know, your knee is going to be a little bit less, but everything still looks okay, and it gives him that mangled kind of leg look he had with the Revenge of the Fallen toy, which, like I have stated several times, is the goal of this figure. But that is pretty much it for him, so let's go ahead and bring it down to Barricade. Which again, I have brought him up several times, and then even brought it up a few times last year, but this was the very first one that I decided Knockout's head makes so much more sense for Barricade. So we have it here with the gold, which I just realized I did not grab the gold paint I used. It's been years since I've done this. It 100% slipped my mind. But I did paint the face gold, just regular Tamiya gold. I think it's gold leaf is what it's called, but I don't know the number. It's just a little guy like this called gold leaf. But I did paint the face like that. I sprayed it black and I painted some bits of purple on the sides. And then I got some Toy Hacks love too. You know, the police doors, the stuff there, the windows, etc., etc. You saw the car one. I also painted the shoulders black because I do like the lavendery color here. I like lavender being Barricade's secondary color, but I think it's usually too much when Hasbro does it. Like, I think now it's a good balance, and all it had to take was just these being black. I think the rest of it balances out quite nicely. His knees keep trying to just ooh every time I pick him up. And then he has 2 guns because I ended up getting 2 guns. Which I think works for Barricade. He's armed to the teeth. And finally, my little gut cruncher. I love him so much. This is of course based on the Spark Cruncher that was released as the Legends class repaint of Warpath. This is inspired by that. It does not one-to-one that layout or anything. I would have had to fully repaint the treads, which I did consider, but I decided not to because it's just a fun little custom. So the eyes up here themselves are this regular yellow because I wanted the eyes and this to not be the same color. So those are a regular yellow. And then I painted little bolts around his head black just for some fun extra detail. And then I even managed to paint the mouth plate black, but not the little grooves. So we still have some gray in there, just beautiful bits of detail. But then he does have his orange tip still. He has a little bit of that there, which is his camel yellow. It's sort of orangey, but it's also sort of yellowy. Which this, finally figured out how to paint something like this. I had to take it apart, and I had to sand down both the end and then this to where it wouldn't like chip as it went in and out. The only downside to this is now it doesn't like lock in, like it rattles. But I do think it's still fine. It still works. Like, it's not chipping. It's not like I'm gonna be doing anything too crazy with it anyway. But I also painted the thighs dark gray, and then I painted these bits gunmetal, which I did recently just because I didn't really, I felt like the legs needed something. They were a little bare, so I was like, oh, bit of gunmetal. There we go, call it a day. But I do think this does enough to make it into a little gut cruncher, spark cruncher based on that repaints that I love so dearly. It's just enough. It's just a little fun custom for me. I like it. I like them a lot. And it's the only real way I keep this mold around because I don't care for it as Warpath. I have the old generation's Warpath, so I have no need. But yeah, this was a slightly longer custom Corral than normal, I think. Maybe it's because it was in 2 parts. Maybe that's why it felt longer. Because they actually, 2 out of 3 of them had some alt mode things to talk about, which usually we don't in these, so something different, I guess. But yeah, do you guys still like the custom Corrals? You guys still like doing this? I think they're fun. Like I've stated for the whole mission statement of this, it's meant to be smaller customs that I don't think warrant a whole video, or I don't think are like too important enough for a whole video. Like Lockdown's whole thing is just toy hacks and upgrades. Like I painted. The only thing I painted was an accessory that got outdated twice. So, I mean, I don't really think he's warranted. The only one that I feel is overly warranted for their own video would have been Gut Cruncher, but even then, not entirely. And then Barricade I've mentioned enough where I figured I should throw him in here. Even though, honestly, I feel like I probably did a video on him at some point and forgot years ago, but he's back. He's back here. Which, again, Hasbro, do a new one. Do a new Generations Barricade. I like what I did here, but I'd love a new one even more. But, yeah. Anyways, that is pretty much all I have to say. So, Booster2, check out my channel for more video and custom reviews, and please don't forget to subscribe. You can also come check out my Facebook and Twitter pages, links in the description below. And this is the 14th Prime, signing out.